Paul, I had a weekend.
Did.
I
So did
had a
I.
weekend. Yeah, but I mean, like,
We
I
all
had
had a
one of
weekend.
those weekend. No, not everyone had a weekend. Number one, don't say that. That's a lie. But I had the kind of weekend where you go out drinking and there's a pop-up tattoo place at one of the breweries that you're at, and you decide, fuck it, I'm getting a tattoo right across the shin of my left leg, which seems like, while you've been drinking, not the most jovial idea, but man, now I have Garfield dreaming about a hot dog on my leg.
It has been the weekend of tattoos. Did you see Mike Deacon's tattoo?
Yeah. Oh, dude, he was texting me through it. It took him 7 hours.
I know, and it was like a Lucasfilm approved person or something. Like he does all stuff. Like it looks beautiful. It looks absolutely gorgeous.
So it was funny because he and I were texting back and forth about it, and I was like, my Rocketeer tattoo is done by a Lucasfilm artist as well. So like, I'm assuming that his must also go to the celebrations and things like that, which I thought was just so fucking cool. And dude, that cover up looks amazing, and the color on that thing is wonderful. For those who don't know, our friend Mike Deacon got a Darth Maul tattoo, like all up and down his shoulder. It looks spectacular.
It is vibrant. It is really good. And he's like double the size initially planned, and the guy didn't charge him anymore for it. Like I was like, that's
and then the next day I went and got a Gur tattoo from Invader Zim. And so my left leg is starting to come together where I've been wanting to have only cartoon characters all the way up it. So slowly but surely working on it. And then I managed to get a small Kermit tattoo as well, because I didn't have a Muppet tattoo yet, which surprised me.
That is surprising.
And I had like one spot that wasn't filled in, and it had been driving me nuts. So I was like, Kermit's going right there, and that's what it's going to be. So now I got this little Kermit that's there, just smiling at the world. And then
thing, my friend.
I know. And so then I had some friends who went to Disneyland this weekend because they went to Not So Scary Halloween.
Okay.
I adopted a child this weekend because they brought me a child back. I would like you to say hello to my child. This is Stitch dressed as a mummy wrapped in toilet paper, who is my new favorite thing in the entire world. And it lights up. The little pumpkin lights up. It's adorable. So
I'm not sure I've seen anything more PJ Campbell than that at this point.
He's my child, and I will love him forever, unconditionally. So he's now here, right here, to us talk about podcasts and stuff. And he's adorable. Look at him. Look at him.
He's adorable.
He's a great part of the being here. He's like the best sidekick we could have asked for.
Absolutely. There's another sidekick we could have asked for, but he refused to come on. I'm joking aside here, with apologies to Mark Ellis.
I should have said that up top. I want everyone to know that today's episode
dedicated.
Of Two Middle-Aged Geeks on Film is dedicated to our friend and colleague, Mark Baby Carrots Ellis. I don't know what it is about Men in Black 3 that drives him so crazy, but he like hates this movie.
Legitimately. And he is like a generally very positive person, like we are as well. Like he tends to like love things and everything else, and kind of dismiss like whenever this is brought up, he just like he just is a changed man, and he just does not approve of anything to do with it. He actually lashed out when we reached out to him about it.
Yeah, he got real defensive, and at one point I was, well, Mark, don't you trust Paul and I? Like, this is a good movie. You should revisit it. And then I went, you know what? Don't answer that, because I don't want to know the answer, actually.
Yeah. And I don't know, man. I think he's so down the hole that I don't know if he'd ever get out on this one, to be completely honest with you. So, you know what? We'll watch it again for you, Mark, so you don't have to. And we'll talk about it, because we, on the other hand, really enjoy this film.
Yeah, it's so funny because, like, I remember when this came out, and I can't believe how old it is now. Like, this movie's over a decade old. Like, wow. It came out in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who don't know, the obvious is we're talking about Men in Black 3, once again directed by Barry Sonnenfeld. Will Smith, Tommy Lee Jones, both returning to reprise their roles, with us actually slew of like new characters, and also Josh Brolin as young Agent K, which ends up being a masterstroke when you realize they almost cast Mark Wahlberg in the role.
I read that and I was like, holy shit, what a bullet they dodged there. And that's not someone, like, I'm not someone who hates Marky Mark. I enjoy Mark Wahlberg in film.
Well, I mean, he was part of the Funky Bunch. How can you not?
Absolutely. I mean, he does fine with what he's like usually. I mean, rock star, brilliant. I mean, he's got some stuff that I love watching,
Yeah.
but like young Tommy Lee Jones, no. Not only that though, it's not like that. Not only that would Mark Wahlberg not be right for it. It's just that James Brolin is absolutely note perfect. I actually think he was more Tommy Lee Jones than Tommy Lee Jones was. Uh,
I will contend to this day that I think that he is far and away one of the best. Not just do I think he's incredible in this movie, I actually think this is one of those times that it drives me nuts that the Academy Awards overlook comedy so frequently,
mm,
because I genuinely believe he is so good in this, he should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor at the Academy Awards, because it's such a specific performance, but also, like, it is really good, and he is so fantastic in it.
I legitimately, when he first has his first line of dialogue, it just like I literally was like, "Wait, what? That's
Yeah.
not Tommy Lee Jones DH." Like it really just felt like, and I get like you could argue. There's arguments out there like, well, you can't award somebody for an impression, really. I mean, he's kind of doing a Tommy Lee impression to a degree, but like it's more than that because he actually really embodies the character, and it's amazing that this film. We'll get into it as we go through. This film actually, it might be my favorite of the 3
It
because
might be mine too. I think it might be the best movie. Um, we'll get into it. You continue.
uh,
I don't wanna
I
overstep you.
I was just because, like, it just feels like this film adds more stakes in, like, 10 minutes and 15 minutes than, like, the entirety of the first 2 films. The first film, obviously, it has the notoriety of being the original. It's a new universe. It's fascinating to explore all these things and everything else. But 3 kinda, like, takes all that and then adds these, like, wonderful characterizations and gives you, like, these depth to these characters we don't know much about after the first 2 films, quite honestly. We know, like, a little bit to get to, but we feel like after this 3rd film, I know these characters much better than I ever thought I was going to.
Well, and it's interesting because, I guess they had come up with the idea of this while they were making Men in Black 2 in
Right.
2001, but they kept running into, like, they couldn't really break the script. I mean, that went all the way through this production. Like,
Mhm.
Sonnenfeld said, "We are gonna shoot this without the 2nd and 3rd acts really figured out and, like, piece it together." And it's funny because ultimately, we've talked about over all 3 of these movies, they've all had pretty troubled productions.
Right.
Um, Arguably, this one was the worst version of it.
Right.
They were shooting without a script, basically. There was a lot of stuff about, Sonnenfeld and Will kinda not getting along on set at one point. Eventually, like, that kinda got buried.
And Will
Um,
didn't wanna come back because of
and
there's
Will
kind
didn't wanna come
of
back because of
of
it. Yeah,
2.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was like a bunch of stuff happened, but
And I know
ultimately,
the
as
script thing. I just want to interject. The script thing is also definitively like a financial thing. It was something about getting like tax credits back if they can get it in,
yeah,
like film before this time. It's like, well, we got the first act kind of written. Let's just throw it in and get something going. Of course, that just ends up making a mockery and a mess out of the finale because, of course, when a second and third act are written, it changes things, and you have to kind of figure out,
yeah.
oh well, that doesn't work anymore.
But weirdly enough, and I texted you this, like, when I finished watching it, like, yeah, you can kinda see the seams, but I actually don't think it hurts the movie as much as you might anticipate, because the movie's a lot more cohesive than it really should be for
Agreed.
having the production that it had, and
Agreed.
it honestly actually, like, this movie makes me love the first one more, because I also think it's the only one of these movies that legitimately is, um like, really emotional and really character driven in a way that you don't really anticipate from one of these.
Right. That's kind of what I was meaning before. Because the first one,
Yeah.
it's the fascination of the introduction to the world, the characters having fun together, their camaraderie is on par, but the characters and the emotional connection to them are not really there until. But this one really dives deep, and Tommy Lee Jones actually gives one of his best performances. One of those what I call facial performances. Like there's those moments
Yes.
where the ends, like where he has those things, and you watch everything happen on his face, and he delivers that brilliant, like just moment of like we are realizing what he is going through, and we see it reflected
The
on his face.
the best version of that in this movie, and I never really caught it quite the same way before until this watch, because I've seen this movie quite a few times since it's come out. I
Right.
revisited a lot, actually. Um, but there's something about the moment in the movie when he is about to be taken out, like,
Mm.
in the past, and he's going to disappear. So,
Mhm.
there's a moment really similar to Men in Black 2, where he's in his apartment, and it opens in the back, and it's got the room with all the guns, and so he grabs the gun, and when he sits in the chair, the shot lingers longer than I think I ever realized, and I was watching his
Yeah.
face, and
Yeah.
he gets the gun, and he's waiting for it, and then there's a moment that crosses his face, and I'm getting chills thinking about it, where he full on, like, instead of being the strong, stoic version of Kay, he gets scared. You see it
Yes.
flash across his face. He gets scared. He gets worried. He holds the gun closer, and then he gets zapped out of time when he realizes what's happening. And
Yes.
it's wild.
It is exactly what you're saying, isn't it? I feel the same way. And I had the same moment towards the end when like we finally know what happened back then and what entitled and like it just you don't see a film get a chance to really like retroactively explain the origin story without it like feeling like it's we're forcing this on you. Like
Right.
this felt like this is not Spider-Man 3 where all of a sudden Sandman was in charge, like all of a sudden
No,
killing
no, no, no,
Uncle
no,
Ben.
nothing like that.
This is like explaining Tommy Lee Jones' character over the past 3 films. And we're like, "Oh, I didn't understand. I didn't know how much I needed to know." Like, 'cause you don't need to know. Like, you get 1 and 2, you see, you get the relationship, you understand it to a degree, but you don't understand the depth of it. And you're like, "Oh, everything now just" it changed your view on everything you've seen before, and it just changes retroactively, making that makes everything even better, because you get to see that develop and you get to see that come through. And it is a phenomenal piece of work. I got and again, exactly what you said before is like it's amazing that out of this trouble production, out of this like batshit trouble production, that the best emotional context comes from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much. I
Um,
honestly, when I was looking through, I had very little complaints. My only complaints were, again, I did see some of the seams. Fine, it didn't bother
sure.
me like too, but I did see some themes. And this one you might not agree with, and it's fine. I get it. I will say I do every once in a while get this hint of instead of Will Smith playing Jay, Will Smith is kind of the point in his career where Will Smith is playing Will Smith playing Jay.
I think there's some truth to that. But I also think that it's also I kind of I weirdly enough also chalk it up to this is Jay so many years later that he's also kind of grown into just being who he is. And like there's definitely that tension with him and Kay. So I feel like he's almost acting out like
Right.
you know what I mean? Like
I
he's acting
do.
out like a child.
I do. I,
Um so I think that's me being more headcanon-y than not.
maybe you try to explain it in your head. I get that. I
Yeah,
do that all the time too. I sometimes I just feel like I'm like because I know Will Smith is older and more mature now, and he's not 90s Will Smith, and
yeah.
he's got to be. But that's who Jay is. Jay was always Will Smith that way. So now, like you see him doing that sometimes, it feels like God, you're kind of faking that a little bit, aren't you? Now at this point, yeah. Does it bother me completely? No, but it does. Like kind of every once in a while, I kind of get that sense of age. Whereas Tommy Lee Jones, I mean, I got no offense to Tommy Lee Jones, but he was old in the first one. Like, he was old and
Well,
grizzled in the
right,
first
and
one. So
he
like,
always looked old, that's the thing,
right,
he's looked old for so long.
and he felt that same kind of crotchety old thing. So like he kind of he sits familiarly and comfortably in that. Whereas Will wasn't as comfortable trying to be the youthful energetic Jay that he is. I mean, he still does a great job. I mean, I'm not gonna say anything bad against him per se. I just every once in a while I kind of like it's like you caught the seams a little bit. I get the seams a little bit like, oh, okay, you're trying a little bit, but overall, beyond those two things, man, this is just a good film. It takes a lot of gives you a lot of new things. There's a lot of like cut things like we don't get a lot of like looking back like we did before. There's no like the dog, there's no dog there. There's like Rip Torn's gone at this point. Obviously, we have a celebration of Rip Torn's character and everything else. There's a lot of new in this film, and because of that, it feels new still. And I think that helps the film out a little because you got that fascination and the idea of, oh, well, who's this person now? Who? Oh, Emma Thompson's in this. Oh, she fits in very well because she is kind of actor. She's a brilliant, like award winning actress who doesn't give a fuck if they have to be silly. And that's the best
Right.
kind of actor. Like they can be when she does the whole like thing at the eulogy and everything else. That's an Academy Award, like that's an
She
award-winning
is
actress,
so good in this too.
and she's like being as silly and but serious as far as the world goes, and that's the important thing. Dare yourself to be silly and everything else, and that's the kind of thing that makes the film work. And yes, you're absolutely right. She's wonderful in this.
No, I actually think she's such a great addition, and I like that she's so different than Zed, but also
Yes.
she fits the mold of this world because she's an incredible actress and she can do anything, you know?
Mhm. Mhm. Love it. Love it so much. Um,
Um,
Speaking of great additions, I'm gonna throw in there just the same thing in there. I want a spinoff. I know canonically, I don't think it can work after it's been in Black 2. I want a spinoff of Will Arnett and
as,
Patrick Warburton
AAA
and Patrick Warburton from 2,
or
as
double A.
like partners or
Oh,
something.
dude, yes.
That would be a great Men in Black, like
I
full-time characters.
You know what's so funny about this? I agree with you, number 1, I want that so badly. But one of the things I really like about this movie in particular is it feels a lot like when you watch the Star Wars prequels and you get to Revenge of the Sith, and you realize that that movie is the movie that when George Lucas fully has the kind of money he wants to make a Star Wars movie,
Mm,
this is the kind of movie he can make. Men in Black 3 has easily the most money of the 3 of these films,
yes,
and World is the most full and lived in and realized of the 3 films, and I think that that is so cool. Like, the first one is amazing for what it is already,
right.
but, like, Rick Baker came back to do all the makeup work and stuff, and it's with this big budget in 2012, and, like, he really leaned in on the alien effects in the '60s. They really lean in on the world of how everything is, and it feels so cool, and it doesn't stop being weird either. And I
Right.
think that that's the thing I like the most is that it keeps the weirdness that Sonnenfeld had become so, like, known for, and it doesn't try to shy away from it for how expensive the movie was. Like, there's definitely more action. It's still also bizarre and strange, and, like, there's odd creatures all around and, like, kinda weird lines where you're like, "I'm sorry, that what?" Like, and Boris the Animal is a perfect example of that. What a weird villain
It's
with a weird
just
design.
Boris.
It's just Boris, and I love this character, and it's because Jermaine Clement is so good in it.
He is perfect for this franchise. This franchise just finds the way to just find actors who perfectly fit the vibe of the universe. It just it's unmatched at that so far in the first 3 films. And Jermaine Clement is like the perfect villain for this story and for this franchise. I am 100% on board with that. I agree that like you couldn't have anybody more perfectly suited than Jermaine Clement. He fits the role perfectly and is so fun and so intimidating at times. Like he's the perfect that balance of like he's a proper villain, unlike Men in Black 2, which I think kind of like we talked about
The
that.
villain doesn't really work.
This one works, but he's also fun at the same time. It's hard. It's a hard
Well,
balance to have.
and it's funny because I was watching it, all I could think is, like, this is the right version of and you alluded to this, you brought it up, but it's the right version of finding a way to tell a prequel story that doesn't feel heavy-handed. It doesn't feel like we're changing things, right? Like,
Right.
and we're not over explaining things because we're not seeing how K becomes K.
Right.
We're meeting K as K.
We're
Like,
understanding why K
right.
is K. We don't see it like we don't have to have it explained to us. We just have a better understanding of him now.
Because we
That's the
already
perfect
learned
story.
some of that about him, right? Like,
Right.
we learned in the first one how he became a
Right.
Men in Black, but
Right.
we aren't going back to that moment to over explain it. We're doing a different story that is tied into his past, and I think it works really well
Mhm.
in the fact that it's a character we already like, and again, I really think it comes also down to Brolin. Like, the writing's already good, it works, but it's because Brolin's also so game to be in the
Oh,
movie, and his like, he has the same exact chemistry with Will Smith that
right.
Will Smith has with Tommy Lee Jones, and
He
that's
just
crazy.
he feels like the young version of Tommy Lee Jones. I know that's what he's playing, but like a lot of times that happens. There's a disconnect between the actors playing
Right.
them. It happens all the time. This legitimately feels like no, they literally just stepped back and got a younger Tommy Lee Jones. Just happened to be named Josh Brolin. And I agree with you. I think if this was Mark Wahlberg, I don't think this film works at all. To be
No,
honest, it doesn't work.
because I think he wouldn't play it the same way. I think he'd make
Correct.
it a joke, whereas
He would.
Brolin didn't. Brolin understood the same thing that Sonnenfeld understood when he cast Tommy Lee Jones to begin with. You need to play it straight. You need to be not winking at the camera. You need to just play it like you're playing a serious role because it'll be much funnier.
Which
And
surprisingly,
Brolin understands it.
Tommy Lee Jones struggled with that at first when he first got the
Exactly.
original Men in Black film, and Barry kind of explained it to him, and he's like, "No, you got to understand, this is what makes it funny." And Josh does. I don't know if Josh had to have the same conversation, but Josh either he had the same conversation or he just understood it innately because he just plays it extremely seriously, extremely dead on. But it's all like it just fits perfectly. And
It
I will
does.
go over because
Um,
Josh is like one of my favorite actors in general, and he fits. He also fits
great.
the idea of like his he is that naturally kind of gruff, crotchety kind of guy.
Yes,
That's the roles he
100%.
plays. So like Mark Wahlberg is not that normally. That isn't him at
No.
all.
You know what's funny? And I was thinking about this, after I was watching it, and, I mean, I guess this is more a conversation also about international in general, but I actually think that they missed the mark on what they should have done to expand the franchise. I actually would have done, like, Men in Black 74 instead of doing
Mm,
international, and I would have just brought Brolin back, and I would have done one, like, set in the '70s, keep doing the world, expand it out. You can bring back his character, his partner from the first one. You see where they finally meet for the first time. You could have done stuff like that, and also leaned in on like make it a little more kitschy, make it like lean in on the period of it, like do some crazy stuff with it.
that is exactly right. And I was actually gonna have that same conversation with you because I don't like Men in Black International. I saw it once, don't remember it at all. Remember not liking it very
Well,
much.
we're gonna
Thinking
be
that it was kind of
watching it
boring.
in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. That's why I'm looking forward to a rewatch because
Yeah,
but my initial remembrances was kind of like it was fine, but like it was just forgettable and not anything that so it felt disconnected.
yes,
This is the way you actually absolutely connect it. You have because this film, Men in Black 3, does such a great job of actually again connecting the universe. Like I said, you have Men in
yeah,
Black
man,
1 and Men in Black 3 makes us feel like a universe. Now, Men in Black 2, we both are like it's fine, whatever. This is the one that makes it work and you go from there. And exactly, Will Smith doesn't want to do it anymore. Fine, we don't need Will Smith's character anymore. And that's almost like, and like that's it feels like such like a wrong thing to say, but you do it 7 Men in Black 74. Josh Brolin is that good that you
yeah,
don't need Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. When you fast forward and try to do international and go, we're just going to replace him with two new people, and it's Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson. Chris Hemsworth, Tessa Thompson, both fun, energetic,
yeah.
actors and everything else, but like you miss the Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones of it. I don't think you do if you do Men in Black 74. I think you connect it and go forward with it. I love that idea.
No, I was thinking about that a lot because I also think you could have really leaned in on I would have liked to see how a little bit of stuff changed after the ending of the movie because clearly he has changed a bit by the time the movie is over.
Right.
Like he's singing in a way that he didn't normally. He's smiling at the end. Like, so character stuff has changed a bit, but he's still Tommy Lee Jones
Right. And
as
that's a
Kay.
tough thing to do, having the subtle
Right.
changes, not the overt, like hit you over the head with a hammer like changes. That's kind of like you'll come back, like Back to the Future, come back and the guy's rich and he's
Right.
confident. And all that. This is but different. It's kind of like they're there, not quite the same character. He's changed a little bit, but it feels genuinely him still.
No, it sure does. And so I was watching it and I was like, man, and you could have done that, and it's like, I actually quite like, uh, Alice Eve. So,
Yes,
having her in that as young O on top of it, you could have really played with that, like, there was a lot that you could and you still could if you really wanted to.
you
Um,
could probably more
you could
80s
even do
now,
one
but
set in the '80s, yeah, I was gonna say, and, like, honestly, you can still lean in on some of the weirdness of it all and
100%.
really make it fun, but there's all these things that you could do, they just don't want to.
Well, also, all the film, like this, what this film does, like when they jump back into 1969, right? all of a sudden they introduce a lot of great characters you could still play with that make you still feel connected, like, not just Josh Brolin and Alice Eve, but
Right.
you could have Bill Hader again as Andy Warhol. So
Oh my god.
fun,
He's
so
so
great.
good in this.
Michael Stuhlbarg as Griffin, I loved his
I love
character.
Griffin. I love Griffin. I think he's such a fun character, and he's so unique.
He almost deserves his own spinoff, although I'd be afraid, like, making him the central character would ruin what makes him him, but,
Y
like, having him on there would just every once in a while, it's popping up, that's hilarious, I love it. So,
Well,
I
and
mean
it's so funny because, like, what a cool character. Number 1, here's the thing about me, and you know this. I don't know if the people at home listening know this, but one of the things about me is, like, I love time travel movies. Like, I'm such a sucker for time travel
me too,
movies, and so
me too.
this movie really leans on that, right? But I also love movies about, like, paradoxes and things like that, and Griffin is naturally born out of that. Like, he's a
Right,
character who he sees every version of a world or an outcome, and he has to put it out there, and it also feels a little bit like me, weirdly enough, if you listen to us talk about it, you guys know I'm on the spectrum, so my brain works a little different, and I'm a lot like JD in Scrubs. I overimagine things. I get lost in daydreams. Like my mind works like that. If you've also been friends with me for a long time, I have a habit of over explaining things because I always think about a situation in so many angles. You should see some of the messages I send Paul. And so Griffin is very much like me, looking at
mm,
every situation with every version of an outcome. But he's a dude who's living with it in his brain all the time because he sees the future.
right,
Which is why, like, the whole thing with them going and watching the Mets game is so great because they go to this empty stadium to watch the Mets because he sees it, and when he shows them, it's such a cool moment, and I love when Jay is like, "Well, this is kind of amazing." He goes, "It's a huge pain in the ass," but it was like, yes, like, I understood that, I love it, and Stuhlbarg is so good.
right, he is really like, I love Spielberg anyway, but he understands his role, he embodies a role, he has these facial expressions, every line I'm waiting for him to like, you look at him and you're waiting for him just to go, he's gonna finish it with, "Oh, unless this is the time where yada, 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 yada happens," and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's great." Um, yeah, I love watching him, like, because 'cause I'm a baseball guy, so him in the Mets, that was a brilliant thing for me to see. Um, yeah, I gotta love Spielberg in this. And I
No,
love that
he's
we end with him. I love we end with him. The whole when Kate leaves the tip, I was like, "Oh, Kate doesn't leave the tip."
yeah.
And Kate's back, she's like, "Oh, okay, we're
Well,
good."
and it's such a smart version of the ending of every one of these movies, right? Where we
Right.
have the, like, recontextualization of what we see in the universe, and this one's the, "Oh, man, is this the one where Kay doesn't tip and we get hit by an asteroid?" Like, I loved that.
Yeah.
And there's a long pan out of a comet coming down and then Kay walking back in. It's great, dude. It's so good, and I just find that every time I watch this movie, it feels wildly inventive. I
Yeah.
love and I think it's because the time travel aspect, and I said it earlier, it really allowed the movie to just kinda go off the rails, and Baker did that on purpose. He was like, "When we went back to the '60s, the aliens needed to look like aliens. They needed to be bug-eyed. They needed to be wearing, like, big ol' space
Fishbowls,
helmets on
right.
because it's the era, and that's how people looked at it, so they really, like, lean in on that,
Right.
and it
Well,
really works.
because that's what always is a good it's a great thing. We're both suckers for retro future stuff anyway, I think it's the same
Yes.
thing. But exactly what I mean, like, when you play into when a story like this plays into the archetypes of the time, the kinda like, it's almost silly, versions of it, and you say that this actually is true. There's a reason why people have these archetypes in their head because they actually legitimately existed. That always makes it to a fun story, like, "Oh,
Yeah.
explains things out, it makes everything else." I also want to throw out there Wildly Inventive is a great way to put this film because it's exactly what this is, exactly what two wasn't. Two was so
Yeah.
tired already after a second film to be that tired in the franchise. It was like, oh, but this one, like, it feels like this one feels energized again, and it feels like it's
Yeah.
got something to say. Like, I'm enjoying the ride here on this one.
Yeah, and it feels like, weirdly enough with that, like, I know that they had said up front when they were doing it, it was like they could potentially do another one, but it really also felt like they knew that they'd had so many problems getting these movies made to begin with, that
Yeah,
this was kind of being they did this to kind of, like, wrap it up also, but open-endedly. Like, you never need to make another one after this because it's such an emotional ending
And
and such a, like, it brings these characters close together because the truth of the matter is I just love this idea because there's this whole setup at the beginning, you know, this idea that Jay never had his father around, and he really resented that, and you never really understand it. And Tommy Lee Jones's character being like, "Look, don't talk about your father. You don't really understand." And this idea that Kay was there when it happened, and this idea, God, dude, like this idea that, as it turns out, in this big, big mission, their lives were already intertwined from when Jay was a kid and he had no idea. And so it actually goes back to this moment in the first movie that I love, which is when they're talking about, "Kay, have you ever flashy thinged me?" And he goes, "No." And he goes, "I ain't playing, Kay. Have you ever flashy thinged me before?" Now, granted, the joke is because it happened earlier in the movie,
right,
but
right, right.
to have it recontextualized down the line that he actually did that when he was a child because Jay was there the day that his father was killed.
Even more than that, the whole recontextualization of thing works for me is going back to the first one when he not only does he choose him, but like he chooses Will Smith to be his new partner, and he brings him in the whole we're testing, and he's with all
Yeah,
the military people, and Tommy Jones waiting outside the door,
yeah,
and starts walking with him, and you're kind of like, because in a way, that first film it doesn't really fully make sense at the time. It's kind of like I don't know. I don't really see what Tommy Lee Jones sees in Will Smith either, but besides the fact that this is the way the script is written, or he sees something
right, of
special. I'm
course.
okay. It's fine. You can accept. You're like, okay, I accept it. Move on. But all of a sudden, like now with this recontextualization, it's like that makes perfect sense. He's been
Mm,
watching him for a while. He wants to be
yeah,
part of his partner because he's part of that world and everything else, and he feels he owes his father. eh, Everything it just makes everything it makes everything better. It makes
well,
everything
and it
more
it
emotional.
does, and
Like,
that whole scene when he's talking to Zed in the first one, where Zed's like, he's kind of a loose cannon, like, he's got an attitude problem, and he goes, "Well, so did I."
yeah, yes,
And, like,
yes.
you can tell that he's been watching him. Like,
I
and when he's watching the trials play out, you can tell, like, again, maybe it's just a hindsight thing, but, like, you can watch it back, and it's like, it almost feels like it was always planned.
Yes, that's a brilliant point. I'm so glad you said that because that's why it works so well. Because
Right.
a lot of times these stories, like I said, they feel forced. They feel like, oh, we're explaining this, we're creating this false history, we're creating this new history, kind of like forced into the whole. This actually, if you told me that Barry Sonnenfeld had planned this out as a trilogy or something like that, and like that this was
Yeah.
initially planned, like this was gonna be like, and that they because he puts those like breadcrumbs in there in the first film that works so well afterwards. You're like, because they don't completely work in the first film. That you kind of excuse it though, because you like the film, the fun, the zaniness of it.
Yeah.
But then you get the third film, you're like, oh my god, this totally makes sense now. Holy shit! It's
I
like
know. It
brilliant.
honestly, it's so good, and I think that credit where credit's due. Like, I know that these movies have had, like, weird productions and,
Yeah,
like, Sonnenfeld and Will didn't always get along, and Tommy Lee Jones and Sonnenfeld didn't always get along, but, like, Sonnenfeld had a much better grasp on all this than I think people give him credit for,
agreed.
especially with this one, because Sony was willing to fire him. And, like, Sonnenfeld was gonna lawyer up and sue them if he didn't come back, and he finally convinced them, he's like, "No, like, I have this vision for it, like, I see where we're going." And, again, the movie is so good because of it. Like, I
Agreed.
really genuinely believe while I'm watching it that like, "Oh, man, you really did think this through. You really planned this," because it works, it lands, like, every little moment feels right.
I'm so surprised too because of like again I don't mean to slight Men in Black 2. I really don't mean to. But
But
like
it's easy to do in hindsight.
it's the same guy who did 1 and 3, and it's like that, what are you doing in 2? Because 3 was so perfectly done and so, like, making how did you do 2? And, like, that I think
Yeah.
maybe the production hurt at that time, I don't know, but
Well, I
either
mean, I think
way
there's a lot of truth to that because they had to redo so much of the 3rd act, but, like,
right,
also, I do think the 2nd one was born out of the 1st was so popular, you had to make it, right?
right. This one
Uh,
they took their time with, and he kinda, like, let it
yeah,
gestate. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, I guess, in a way.
because, I
Um,
mean, this took 10 years.
yeah. Speaking of, like, the breadcrumbs thing too, I will say this film maybe maybe I'm just naive, and maybe I'm just I'm not someone who tries to predict things that happen in films. I try to let the story come to me. And some people watch films like, oh, I saw this coming in the first act when they did that. Like, I try to not be cynical like that. Try not to
Sure.
find that out. But I think so maybe this is me, but this film does a great job of that too, because we have those scenes in earlier on where Will Smith says something like, when Jay's like, I played catch with my old man. I threw a ball against the wall, kind of thing. He
Yeah.
starts talking to his old man, but it didn't feel like it was leading to anything. It just felt like it was kind of like, we're dropping this in normal
Yeah.
conversation about things. And then when you see his father later on, you're like, Jesus Christ. Okay. Yes. Now it's like, you
I
dropped that for a
actually
reason.
I'm like right there with you, oddly enough. And it
Mm,
was one of those things that I think the movie does really well because funny and like it's funny when Michael Coulter walks on the screen, right?
right.
Number one, yes, that is in fact Luke Cage. You may not know it. Like he looks so different without facial hair. So different.
I wanna throw in here real quick because I talked about this beforehand. If you're listening to us on Patreon, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/PLD Projects. Not plugging that for this reason because it's actually part of the story. But on Patreon, we are doing the MCU rewatch. We're about to do Doctor Strange next week. We were done all the other films before then, and in between the films, I've been doing this entire MCU rewatch. I'm trying to squeeze in like all the series and everything else, and the Netflix series are still like part of it now. Now retroactively, Daredevil, Born Again, yada yada yada. Anyway, long story short, for the second time, coincidentally, this happened. Like I was actually watching Luke Cage this week when I paused it to watch Men in Black 3. This happened all the time. Like it feels weird. Like I'm like, I can't believe I'm watching Luke Cage and then Luke Cage appears on my
Yeah.
screen like this. Like what a coincidence. Great. But you're right. He doesn't look at all like it. I'm watching Luke Cage and was like kind of like, he looks familiar. He sounds familiar. And then I'm like, oh my God, that's Luke Cage.
Yeah. It was one of those. I think it was my last rewatch where I really realized it was him. And I was like, oh my
Right.
God. That's
Right.
so funny. But like they very smartly don't tell us who he is up front either.
Right. Just the Colonel or
And
whatever it
right.
is. Right.
And you're just watching it, and like the reveal at the end when he is his father is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
It's so good.
dude, it's so good. And one of the things we really haven't talked about a lot is I also think that the movie is got this like very fun concept of time travel. And
Mm-hmm.
I like the way that it's built into the first and third acts,
Yes.
in the way that it's used, and it allows for us to get like these extra heroic moments for all these characters. And when Boris dies, and Stuhlbarg's character Griff had already said that, where there's death, there will always be death. And so when he dies, you just chalk it up to that.
Yeah.
And so when it goes the extra step to, well, actually, you know, James Darrell Edwards II, his father, is also the one who has to die. It's like, God damn, dude.
Yeah.
And,
It
and
fits like a puzzle piece. It's really
it
good.
and it works, and it's emotional, and like when you hear young, Jay get out of the car,
Right.
and the look on Kay's face when he realizes all of this, and like, God, dude, it's so powerful and it's so good. And it, again, maybe I'm over romanticizing this, but like I love these movies anyway. And the thing is like the first one, they all set up that you're never gonna have this life. No one's gonna know you existed. It's this whole thing.
Right.
In the second one, he's already lonely because he's lost his partner. He can't be with anyone. It's like it's supposed to be this idea that he can't even really have a love story.
Right.
And then this third one recontextualizes all of it. It's like even though he lost his father, he couldn't be with anyone. Kay always looked out for him and was
Right.
always there in the background, and he always knew that that was gonna be what it was. And, like, this whole thing is it ended up being true is that he was protected, and he had no idea, and someone really did love him. And you're like,
Yes.
"Fuck, dude. Are you kidding me?"
It's powerful stuff, man. It works. It just works, which is why I think like they could have gone on and had another Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones movie after this. They could have. But I feel like it has that perfect ending here that we don't need to see anymore. Because like what else like I feel like it'd be another episodic thing and like that's not bad, but like I just feel like this is the perfect ending for it, which is why I love the Men in Black like 74 or 84 kind of
Yeah.
continuity. That'd be great. I mean, you could still do it like you could have Will Smith come back more like we talked about a legacy sequel now potentially, and like maybe Tommy Jones is obviously too old to be in the field now, and be Tommy Jones in like the Zed role or the the old role or whatever. Potentially, that could work. But if we never get Will Smith and Tommy Jones back on again, like I think we do have a perfect ending for this series.
No, and it feels it, right? Like, it
Yeah.
really does, and I think that's why I look so fondly at this movie too, because maybe this is a little cynical of me, and I'm not usually a cynical person, but, like, so frequently now we're getting these big movies that are saying, these are the last chapters of these stories, of these characters, of these moments. And then
Right.
it turns around and they're like, yeah, but we're also going to make another one. Like, honestly, I think Jurassic World really, really broke me on that. Like,
Yeah.
I knew because Dominion made $1 billion, they were going to make another one. Like, I can't pretend I didn't know that was going to happen. But, like,
Right.
that's such cynical garbage at the same time, right?
Right.
Like,
Absolutely.
it sucks, and honestly, like, we're kinda seeing it with Rise of Skywalker, though granted with that, like, they're also doing it because Rise of Skywalker was not super beloved by everyone,
No. And
and so they
it
feel
bums me
like
out. It bums me
right.
out that way,
It
honestly. Yeah.
it does, and, like, I'm not saying that Rey shouldn't get another shot as a character because I love the character, and actually, I think that the 3 of them, if they're smart and they do it right, I actually think it would be good to have a trilogy with those characters again anyway. It's
Yeah.
the one thing that I think we really missed out with the original Star Wars cast. Like,
Agreed.
it sucks that we never really got to see Han, Luke, and Leia again after Return of the Jedi together. But I also don't blame the new trilogy for that. Like, that's not on them. Like, they
No.
were they'd already aged out of being like the young swashbuckling heroes. Like, another generation gets to do that. That's just reality. So
100%.
this movie very uncynically doesn't do that. Like, it was not promoted as, like, the big final chapter or anything like that. Like, they made a film, they gave us the film, and it kinda is like the final note in some
Mhm.
capacity, um,
Without
without
pushing it
having
as
to.
that way. Yeah. Without
Right,
pushing it that way. It just happens to be really good.
right.
A really good
And
family
I
movie.
kinda think that that's like, look, what is my favorite franchise probably in the world at this point? Like, we all know it's Indiana Jones. And what is the name of the 3rd movie? The Last
Last
Crusade. He
Crusade.
literally rides off into the sunset, and yet we still managed to get 2 more.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
This movie just kind of does its own thing and just ends, and it wasn't hyped up to be that. And I really appreciate that because when you're watching it, it weirdly feels like a warm blanket of comfort and nostalgia in a way that ends on such a happy note that you're like, "Man, they never have to do another,"
No. And
because
then
it all
no.
feels full circle.
Yeah. And they do, and I think that might be retroactively thinking like, I'm thinking like that might be one of the reasons why I felt even more disconnected with International when I watched it the first time through. Again, I'm open mind. I want to watch it again and see maybe, hell, honestly, maybe a second view will improve that because I don't have that initial disappointment, that initial disconnect on it. I might kind of go in knowing what I'm expecting. I might appreciate it a bit more. I'm hoping so
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping so too because 'cause it's been a little bit since I've seen it. I think I've only seen it once since theaters in 6 years. It's just not a movie I go back to very frequently. And, like, weirdly, and we'll probably talk about it, but I have this, like, lingering thought that I feel like it feels almost direct to video, and also that I say that this movie might have had the most troubled production, but, like, that like, let's call it what it is. International easily had the worst production of the bunch of these movies.
Right.
So I do think that that movie, if I'm remembering correctly, I could see the seams, and it was really hard for me to, like, really look past that.
Right. I agree.
Um, yeah, so we'll see. I mean, I'm excited to watch it in some capacity just because 'cause it's been so long since I've seen it. Um, one thing that we kinda touched on too is I love Bill Hader in this, one thing this
Yes.
movie does great is I actually think the supporting cast is really good across the board. We've talked about Stolberg, we've talked about Clement, but, like,
Emma Thompson,
there yeah, Emma
Alice Eve.
Thompson, but, like, Hader as Andy Warhol, who's also actually, revealed to be a Men in Black agent, is one of
So
those, like,
good.
it's so good and it's so silly, but it's so fitting for this world.
Yes, I love it when he jumps back into Warhol. Like I forget what exactly the
Yeah.
line is. Like he's having the meeting, also he has to be back in
I am
Warhol.
taking a
Even
video of this man eating a hot dog. It's
so
so good.
good. No,
It
you're
re
absolutely right. Nicole Scherzinger has that moment with as Boris' girlfriend. Fun
Yeah.
moment there. Keone Young is Mr. Wu, the alien who owns the Chinese restaurant. Phenomenal piece of
Well,
work there.
and Michael Chernus, who is one of those dudes who just pops up in things, being
Love
Jeffrey
him.
Price. Yeah, and he's the guy who gives him the time travel device. I love him. He's so fun, and I love the you're he couldn't have been a bit, more than a small blip on the history of the world, and then Jay grabs it and turns him, "Oh, big blip, big blip."
Big lip, big lip.
I think he's so good in this, and actually, I never noticed that you actually do see his father at the beginning of the movie. This was the first time for whatever reason, I never noticed that that's who Boris kills in the prison,
Yes. Yep, yep, yep. Yeah,
and I just thought
absolutely.
that was so interesting.
Yeah, the film knows what it's doing. I mean, that's the important. Like the film just knows is not anything is in there just because it all kind of has meaning behind it for various reasons. But yeah, and the cast is part of that. The cast is just phenomenal. It's
Yeah, I mean, it is. I think this movie has arguably the best support cast, and it's the one with the biggest support cast, which is funny because most of these movies have such a small cast comparatively. Um, and it's really interesting because we also don't get back to like we don't see Jack Jeeves this time. And it
right.
could have been so easy to have him show up, right? We see pictures of Frank, but we don't see Frank the Pug. I love when he goes when he's driving to Coney Island and he gets stopped by the cops. And if you look on the billboard behind him, it
Mhm.
has the talking pug is one of
Yeah,
the things at Coney Island. I love
yeah.
that.
Great.
I think it's
The
really
funny thing
fantastic.
I honestly think that that was like a legitimate choice,
I
like
think so
not to
too.
have these characters in there. Like they decided, like I think they could have gotten Tony Shalhoub back. They could have got I don't know who I forget who voices Frank, but they could have gotten them back and had them in there making appearance. But those characters would have felt at this point for this particular film, it would have felt um unnecessary. It's like they're throwing it
Yeah,
in there just
100%.
because at this point we don't need them in there because they don't fit that story. Instead we get these more fun new characters, which make it worth it at this point.
Yeah. Characters again that I would have liked to see more of, honestly.
Yeah. Mm.
And I really appreciate that they also lean in on some of the uh era jokes when Will Smith's character gets pulled over by the cops for stealing the car
That's so
and
fun.
it's so fun and I just love the moment where he's like, "What, you just see a black man in a car and you think he stole it?" And he goes, "Okay, well, I
I
did
stole
steal
that
this
one,
one,
but not because I'm
but not
black.
because I'm black," is one of my favorite lines in the entire franchise, and he
It's
delivers
so
it so well.
that's what it is. It's the delivery of it because he has that moment that, fuck, I did steal this one, didn't I? Well,
Yeah.
fuck you anyway.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, there's a lot of those throughout the movie, like, there's the when he's trying to lie to Kay when after he's been tased,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he does the, "Oh? Oh,
Oh,
well, I call all the women 'Oh,' so then when I
oh,
see a couple go by, I go,
oh,
'Okay.'"
okay.
God, it's so silly, it's so dumb, but it makes me laugh, and
Yeah,
again, I think that there is truth to what you said about, yeah, maybe Will is playing a little bit more Will, but I do also think that there's an immaturity to the character that has come to light because I think he just felt kind of alone.
yeah.
And I thought that was so interesting to be played up. And so when you see him being the way he is with him once they're in the cities, it all kind of clicks and makes more sense.
It might be why I forgive it. It's like I see the
Yeah.
seams, but it still works because of the character. Like it's not like so diversified from diverged from the character that it
Yeah.
tanks it or anything else. It's still
No, no, no.
related enough that works. So could be why.
No, and I really appreciate it for that. Like this is a good fucking movie, man. I think it gets really lost in the conversation, and I really don't know why that is.
I
Um,
think a lot of people didn't see it after 2. I think that 2 came and went, and 2 came and went, and it wasn't, I mean, it was okay received, but then you wait 10 years and you
Yeah,
lost more audience, and it just didn't do enough, like, to kind of get back in the zeitgeist that I think a lot of people just haven't seen it. I think a lot of people were like me, who just, like, didn't watch it when it came out and was like, "Okay,
yeah,
it's another Men in Black." Like, Men in Black 2 was another Men in Black. It was already
yeah,
tired in 2. How is 3 gonna be? And then you go back and like, oh, I was wrong. They actually put their
yeah.
heart in this one. This is really well done. So
It's
I think
really
people
well
who watch
done.
it did well with it.
Yeah, 100%, and I think that's why I've been always, like, shouting from the rooftops how good I think it is, and one of those things that really also does really make it stand out is I think the action beats in this movie are awesome,
Yeah,
comparative to the first 2 by quite a bit, and that's not a dig at all, but it's shocking how far some of it has come. There's some just really great action beats and little moments that really sting. And they don't feel derivative of the first, which I really like. It feels like it's doing its own thing.
I agree, and I think that's part of the retro future thing that works. Why the retro future thing works for me as well, because everything feels new and innovative again. Like, even though it's funny because, like you're saying, retro future, we've seen all these crazy bug-eyed aliens and stuff before, like in different movies, but in this context, we haven't, and it feels
Yeah.
so different than the first 2 films in a way. It does feel vibrant and new again.
No, it sure does, and I think the more that I revisit it, the more I see it that way, and I think that's why I've fallen in love with it so hard, and I know that like, it's easy to slag these movies, but this movie deserves more credit than it gets, I think. Which is why sitting here and, like, just kinda waxing poetic about it again, I know it almost sounds like I could be overselling it, but, like, I genuinely fucking love this movie.
Yeah.
I went to see it opening day. I was living in Anaheim at the time, and I remember going 3D IMAX at Downtown Disney and just, like, watching it and going, "Wow, this is so much better than I ever thought it would have been." And, like, being so wrapped up in it, and again, I do think that there's something to be said about it's a thing we've talked about with the Ghostbusters versus Men in Black of you and I at age. And look, again, Ghostbusters is in my top 10 movies of all time. I'm not gonna pretend that it's not. But, like, Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones, Men in Black, 1997, I was 7 years old. It had such a specific impact on me and has become such a, like, moment in time movie and arguably part of who I am as a core human, as weird as that is. So, for Men in Black 3 to wrap around and I'm now 22, right? Like, what a weird time, and for it to be such an emotional film, to be something that really kind of ties everything together. It hit me at the right time, at the right place, at the right moment, and I have loved it ever since, just like the first.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks,
I get
man.
that.
Really appreciate that. Great,
I would just say I understand what you're saying because
yeah.
for me, we have this conversation. This wasn't a franchise for me. Ghostbusters was this for me. Um, that's which is why I love the fact that we're crossing these over, right? Ghostbusters, like when I was at that age, that Ghostbusters came out. Men in Black came out when I was in college, the end of college, and I kind of was going into new life and everything else, and I enjoyed it for what it was. But Men in Black 2 came out, it's like that kind of ruined it for me. So I didn't have that same kind of fascination, excitement when Men in Black 3 came out. But I feel pissed off at myself afterwards for not going back to watch it
No.
at this point. So it's one of those kind of weird like I hate I'm mad at myself, but I understand that that's what happens with film and with life at some point. So like when things happen, if they don't coincide with the right time in your life, you do miss stuff. But
Mhm.
luckily, I have been able to rectify that problem.
Yeah. I'm glad you have, and I think this movie also really they do a good job of being like, Jay is still in the shadows on certain things. I love that he doesn't know that time travel exists.
Right.
And this whole when having to explain to him that he's been part of a temporal rift, and he keeps being like, "There's no such thing as time travel. I am the senior agent here.
I
I
would
would know if
know.
time travel exists." And she's like, I think that's so funny, and that dude, the line because when the if you're in the middle of an event when that happens and you know it, you crave chocolate milk, and I love
Right.
that as, like, a thing, and so when the guy co he tells the one guy, he's like, "Get me a big glass of chocolate milk." And then the guy finally shows back up and he goes, "Man, where you been? I asked for this for like an hour ago."
Hour ago, it was
I
like 2 minutes.
I laugh every time though. It's just so silly, and
Right.
God, dude,
It
like this
retroactively makes the
movie,
time when he goes to like, get he takes the chocolate milk from the baby.
yeah.
Whatever, you're kinda like, "Wait, what is I don't get it." Then, like, when you hear it later on, you're like, "Okay, that's retroactively kinda funny."
Damn it, it's not the Tick. Damn it, it's not the Tick. There's something worse than the Tick. I don't know, man. I think this movie is funny. It's quotable. It's got such a great cast. And I think it's just a smart wrap up film without
Right.
needing to be one. Like it's not beating you over the head that this is going to be the last movie. It just kind of is, and it does it on
Mhm.
its own. And it's such a good note for this series to end on, specifically this trilogy.
I agree. I mean, it was tough. You mentioned Star Wars before, and it's tough for because Men in Black was never that kind of size of franchise,
No,
obviously.
definitely not.
So when it builds up to that, I mean, I love that trailer for Rise of Skywalker and everything else, that big emotional, like orchestral thing. I was like,
Oh,
oh, this
it's
really feels like an
and it's
epic
playing
ending.
off the Phantom Menace teaser.
Yeah, absolutely. It's perfect that way. Um, so you don't have that buildup, and then when you watch that, you do have the when you have Men in Black 3, you do have that satisfaction of, yeah, we don't need anymore. We're good at this time. If they did go on, we'd watch it and it could be, I'm not saying it couldn't be good, but there is just that sense of comfortability of like they nailed this ending. They nailed
Yeah,
this ending.
it's just so good. I like the 3rd act a lot also. I like it being set at the Apollo mission. I think that's a great tie to, like, real world events, kinda similar to the first one of why are the flying saucers, near Met Stadium? Oh, well, that's
Right.
because, we built it for that. So I love that. I love the idea that the Apollo mission is why the ArcNet was put up around the world to protect us from the Boglodites. Like, I love all of
Right.
that. Um it's a smart movie, man. More I think it's a smarter movie than people give it credit for. I think it just really fits the things that I like about going to the movies. It's that fun for me.
Yeah, I agree. That's the this again, I keep harping on Men in Black 2. This has the fun that Men in Black 2 didn't have for me.
Yeah. And again, I think that them taking their time to do it really matters. And I'm glad that it doesn't shy away from being a little weird. Like the whole opening sequence with them at the Chinese restaurant is full of like weird characters and creatures, and it's really great. It's really fun. You're a piece of shit, Woo, makes me laugh every single time. Uh,
How angry is it? Yeah, this whole like
yeah,
should.
it's just so good. It's just this. Look, I keep saying it. It's good. This is a good movie. Actually, I'd argue it's a great movie. Um,
It
it's
is.
one that if you've never seen it or you watched it and you don't really see it the way we do, like I get it, but I hope you'll go back and like rewatch it and kind of take it in for what it is because
Right.
it really deserves to be recontextualized for what it is.
It
And I
does.
think it deserves a better shake than it got.
I can't say enough how much I'm pushing you guys if you haven't watched this film. If you haven't watched the film, I'm not sure why you're watching us, to be honest, because we do
Isn't
spoilers
some
for you.
people just like to hear us talk, and I've
Maybe.
genuinely had people tell us that they don't necessarily watch the movies, but they like hearing us talk about them.
Interesting. I mean, I'm not trying to shoo you away. If you do that, hey, that's great. It's hard for me to do. I can't do that. But if you are one of those people and you haven't watched this film, this is one of the films I am going to push you to watch. I don't do it very often. I say you like what you want to like, watch what you want to watch. Don't watch because somebody else says something. But I do feel like people miss this, and they could do a lot worse than checking this one out. Especially if you enjoyed the first one. If you didn't enjoy the first one, then you know it is, but it is. You're not going to get anything out of this one either, probably. But if you like the first one, and if you're like me, fell off a little bit after the second one, go do yourself a favor for Josh Brolin alone.
Yeah, for real, dude. Again, what an insane performance. He's just
Yeah.
so fucking good in this, dude.
I can't say I can't overstate how good he is. That's like it's just so spot on. Every time he opens his mouth, I'm like that's exactly what he should like. It's note deliveries. Absolutely
Yeah.
love it.
I don't know,
So
man. Like this is a good fucking movie.
mhm.
It actually It's funny, it makes me kind of wish Men in Black was part of the MCU as its own
Mm,
thing, just because I could see this part of the world kinda being there.
right.
Uh, Otherwise, like, I really don't have notes. This movie fucking it's just so fucking good.
Yeah, I have a couple of quick notes I can give in just like basically lines of dialogue or certain moments. I love the memoriam to Zed. It was nice to get that. Obviously, it
Yeah,
was nice to have that. Having Tommy Lee Jones be absolutely not emotional, like Will Smith being like, "Wait, what?" Basically,
he never told me about his life after work, and then he just walks off.
it's like, what? So good. Um, you don't have no balls.
Oh my
Great
god.
line.
Oh,
Great
so good.
line.
So good.
Great line. I like Will Arnett's little men's in black room.
Mhm, mhm.
Dialogue. Love the idea of a time jump, like
Yes.
literally being a time jump.
It's one of my favorite versions of time travel, like I said. I thought that was such a, like, clever,
Inventive. Yeah.
inventive way to do it because we've never seen anything quite like that. It's why Back to the Future is so great, right? You put it in a DeLorean, it's a different version. This was you have to literally jump. We have to
Yep.
get high.
You
And it
have
was
to
like,
get,
oh god,
no, you
it's
actually
so
have to
good.
get high. I don't do that. Dude. You actually have to get high up the roof. Oh god. Um, I man, the word "slick" is so Tommy Lee Jones's book vernacular from the first film, second film,
Mhm.
and again, Josh Brolin just says it. It just feels exactly the same way, and I love it. Must be good, slick. Starting to understand why we don't talk.
Yeah, right? Oh god, it's so good.
um, my last I like is when they go to interview the aliens at the bowling alley. Oh, that ain't a finger, all you sick bastard.
Oh god, yeah. I love that little sequence, by the way. I think
Yeah,
it's
me too.
so funny, and again, what another weird kind of thing to do, right?
Right?
Like,
It's
this idea because that's kind of the Jack Jeeves character where you're messing with him, but this time it's grabbing the head and using it as a bowling ball
bowling
is
ball.
so fucking funny to me.
The fact that like, it's happening, it's like, like it feels like it should be such a traumatizing thing, and he just like calm like that. A finger, all you sick bastard. Oh, come on.
Yeah. It's a hard split there, Slick.
And then finally, I'll throw out there just the idea that Tommy Lee Jones is like that Agent K has to get pie, getting pie. Like
Oh, it's
never,
yeah.
never understand getting pie, man. It changes everything. You should start think things through and everything else. Oh, so good. I love it.
I need to use that in life when I'm just frustrated. I just need to sit and have pie and let the world
Mm-hmm.
speak to me. That's what I've
Mm-hmm.
decided.
That's a good idea. And it's a good idea. On that note, I think we should go get some pie. Um,
I agree. I'm always down with pie.
So let's rate this on a bitch now. So as we always do, we just rate things on a scale of 1 to 11 here on PLD Projects, because that's what we do. We always turn things up to 11. I will give you our rankings so far. This is, by the way, I don't think we actually made it clear earlier. This is our Ghostbusters / Men in Black crossover season because they felt like they belonged together. Ghostbusters, the original, we gave Perfect 11. Ghostbusters 2, I gave an 8.5. You gave a 6.5. Men in Black, I gave a 9. You gave an 11. Men in Black 2, I gave a 6.5. You gave an 8. What do you give Men in Black 3?
Man in Black 3 is getting a cool 10.5. This movie fucking rules, dude, and it's so close to perfect. I think the original is always gonna be the original, and I think that that is always gonna set it at the top, you know? So it's just one of those things, but, like, you're hard pressed to do worse. And
Mm-hmm.
the truth of the matter is I think the one thing keeping it from being perfect,
Yes.
no theme song by Will Smith. We're
I
really
was
missing
gonna
out.
bring that up.
I
I was
know,
gonna bring it up. I
I know.
forgot that that happened. I listened to the soundtrack. I was listening to like the credits song. I'm like, that's
Yeah,
not no. There's
no.
no.
Look, no disrespect to Pitbull, but, like, I'm good. Like, you're not Will. I'm sorry.
No. I want nod your head. I want nod your
Yeah,
head.
yeah. Real fucking shame, man. Real fucking shame. So that's really the only thing keeping it from getting a higher score is that,
That's fair.
yeah.
That's absolutely fair, and I will give this. I'm gonna, I'm gonna prove myself right. I gave Men in Black a 9. I'm giving this one a 10. I think this one actually.
There it is, man.
I think it does. I think it does it for me.
I
Does it
love
for me.
that. I
It's
love
almost perfect.
that you love this one so much, honestly. You know, like, I really mean that. Like, that's not me being, like, sarcastic about it because I love the original so much and I love these movies. It actually heartens me for you to be like, "I actually genuinely love this movie."
It really is, and sometimes there's what the film does, and sometimes there is also just the circumstances behind the film that sometimes, or in your life that work for you. And for whatever reason, it might be just the fact that I kind of written off the franchise, and so it so surprised me that maybe if I had really, maybe I like to this, oh, I've been a little bit lesser because I'd be like, oh, it's a good finale because I had written off the series, and because I when I saw it and was like surprised when I saw it, it just makes me feel so happy. You
Yeah,
know.
it does. It just makes me feel good. This movie makes me feel fucking happy every time I watch it.
So yeah, it is what it is, Mark. I'm sorry. Sorry, Mr. Ellis. You're wrong very few times. This is one of them.
Yeah,
Um,
like, I'm not even saying that you're n like, I love you, Mark. This is wrong. Like, you're just wrong. I
you're
never
just
tell
wrong.
people you're wrong, but this is Mark, you have a wrong opinion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say.
But you know what? We love you anyway. We'll go watch Young Guns too for you. But other than that,
Yep. Yep, yep, yep.
PJ, where can the folks find you?
You guys can find me wherever podcasts are sold, hanging out with this gentleman. You can also find me on all social medias at PJ_Campbell. I actually misspoke earlier. I think I said we do Men in Black International in 2 weeks. That is not correct. We will actually be doing Ghostbusters 2016 or Ghostbusters Answer the Call in 2 weeks. You will hear us talking about Men in Black International in a month.
Yes, exactly. You know what? You said that, and I didn't even correct you because I didn't even think about it. But you're absolutely right because we are doing the crossover series Ghostbusters
Yep.
2016 is the
So I
next.
figured I'd correct myself at least on air.
Yeah, absolutely, good idea. We're going to be doing back-to-back Hemsworth.
Yeah, it's
That
so weird. So weird.
But it is what it is. And yeah, we will see you to do that. You can find me at paul.bsky.social for Blue Sky. I am at Twitter at Paul_Denuzio on Twitter. Find me all over this channel. I'm doing review with Lego, which is the V franchise, and review with Jason. We just recorded our episode of Watchers as an adjacent because it stars Michael Ironside. And that we actually recorded. That's going to come out tomorrow. If you're watching this on the day that this debuts. We
Right.
also got a Queen podcast. I do that on a weekly basis as well. And Holy Snokes, every other week I do a news one, and then we do a thematic one. This week's going to be our news bits. A lot of little nuggets coming out from a galaxy far, far away. And yeah, we'll be back next week on the Patreon here to do Doctor Strange. And
Oh yeah,
that
that's next, isn't it?
is
That's so
next.
weird that it's right after Civil War.
It is so weird. Yeah, I agree. It's very
It's so
strange.
strange.
No pun intended. But it is what it is, and we will be. We're really enjoying ourselves there. If you do hit patreon.com/PLD Projects, you can see all the MCU stuff. If you can, I understand it will be on the main channel eventually. I got to figure out exactly when I'm going to start dropping that, but probably sometime towards the end of the year, we'll start dropping that on the main channel as well. Even though it's quite old at that point, it is what it is. But if you can't, like, subscribe, all that stuff, you can help us fight the evil algorithm. Lots of fun coming up on this show. I love hanging out with you, PJ, my brother,
I love hanging out
and
with you. I love doing this.
I do
Join
too.
the Patreon. You get more nonsense like this.
Absolutely.
It's
And hopefully
perfect.
you're out there. Tell us what you want to see us cover. We have a big list of stuff we want to cover, but we're always open to other ideas as well. So, I mean, every once in a while somebody will throw something out there. We'll be like, how did we not think of doing that?
Yeah. The one that I'm gonna tell you guys, we're talking we floated potentially doing another crossover series as our next one, which I'm really looking forward to. Um, and one of those things might actually feature Will Smith.
There you go. Absolutely. Bingo. All right. We will see you next time here on Two Middle East Geeks on Film. As always, peace
Goodbye,
out.
friends.